Okay, so look, I know this movie is called Priscilla, but look, if throughout my review you catch me continuously reverting back to praise and just man crush over Jacob Elordi's performance as Elvis, forgive me, because he gave me no choice. I did not expect to enjoy his performance that much. I did not expect to be so overwhelmed might be a little excessive, but to be so just mind blown. That's the best way. I did not expect to be this taken away, this mind blown by his performance, but this kid is a damn good actor. Cailee Spaney as Priscilla did an amazing job as well. But this kid, Jacob Elordi, is a damn good actor. But regardless, this is Priscilla. Hey guys, it's your guy in the chair here, and this is my review for Priscilla, starring Jacob Elordi. It's starring Cailee Spaney. I want to make sure I put her at the forefront of this because she is playing Priscilla. So, Cailee Spaney, Jacob Elordi, I think Ari Cohen, and Tim Post, and was directed by Sofia Coppola. And our story follows the story of Elvis and Priscilla, the famous, very, very famous couple. But in the perspective and the viewpoint of Priscilla Presley, the young girl who was absolutely swept away by Elvis one night at a party, and their romanticized, fanatical, toxic relationship began, and this is all just played out from her perspective, and that's the very generic way to describe the plot, because I mean it's really just, Elvis and Priscilla's relationship from the viewpoint of Priscilla. That's as simply as it needs to be put. And look, I'm going to leave Jacob Elordi for last because, as you can tell by my intro, he was my favorite part of the movie. But I definitely want to take the time to definitely highlight Cailee Spaney's performance as Priscilla because she did an amazing job. Now, I will say this. I don't necessarily remember too much. When I think of Baz Luhrmann's Elvis with Austin Butler, I mainly think of Austin Butler and Tom Hanks' performance. I don't necessarily remember the Priscilla. I mean, I remember Priscilla being in the movie, but she was not as highlighted in that as she was here because, well, this is Priscilla's movie, and that movie was more so about literally the relationship between the Colonel and Elvis, and then, Elvis's life in general. Like Priscilla was in addition to that, but here it's very highlighted on their relationship, and honestly, I don't necessarily remember if their age gap was very highlighted in Baz Luhrmann's movie. It kind of definitely threw me for a huge loop here because, according to, I don't know if this is historically accurate, forgive me for not looking this up before, I'm just going based off of what the movie presented to me. Priscilla was in 9th grade when she met Elvis, and even then I'm like, damn, like, that's a hell of an age gap, girl. Like this dude is like very much older than you. But throughout the movie, they made sure to highlight that Elvis was very respectful of that age gap, and he didn't want to just rush in and have sex with her because he appreciated talking to her. And there was a much other reason he was doing that, a very toxic reason he was doing that. But I'll get to that in a little bit. But honestly, here, so the age gap. I'm basically saying all that to say the age gap kind of threw me off, but Cailee Spaney's performance as Priscilla was absolutely phenomenal. Don't get me wrong here. As much as I'm going to be praising Jacob Elordi for his performance, I need people to understand that Cailee Spaney should honestly, in my opinion, be nominated because she captured the essence of Priscilla Presley. She captured so much like emotion and so much like, I want to say pain that relationship kind of carried on with her. Like she definitely said a lot without saying a lot. Priscilla Presley was somebody, according to the film, who didn't necessarily have a lot to say. She was very to herself. She was a very introverted person, and Elvis showed her this other lively side of her that she only had when she was around him. And the way Cailee Spaney and Sofia Coppola, but I'm gonna talk about Sofia in a second. The way that Cailee Spaney just highlights, her Priscilla Presley's actions and everything with not only like the dialogue but her facial expressions. A lot of the phenomenal acting that happens in this film from Cailee Spaney comes from her facial expressions and her physical expressions, where she's saying a lot without saying anything. Like you can just tell a lot of things bother her in a certain way. I mean, even when she had to go to school, even when she moved in with Elvis permanently and she had to go to school and the girls were all talking about her in various different ways, and just a lot of and how she really couldn't like be out in the lawn of Elvis's house just playing with the dog and stuff like that. Like she really had to be inside and be hidden because she couldn't necessarily be shown out in the public because it can't be known that Elvis is very in love with a high schooler. I mean, I don't know what it was like back in those days. Maybe it wasn't as weird as it is now. It definitely is weird as hell now. But I mean, she basically could not show herself and be herself. And Cailee Spaney she acted all that out perfectly. She did a very good job. Another thing that I want to praise this movie for is the director herself, Sofia Coppola. Now look, I've only seen one other Sofia Coppola movie, and it was Lost in Translation, and that has two phenomenal things in it. Scarlett Johansson is good, but Bill Murray is magnificent in that movie, and the cinematography is damn good. It's a beautiful movie. The cinematography in this movie is gorgeous. This is a beautiful movie. This is a very well-directed movie, and it was written by Sofia Coppola as well. It was brilliantly written. I am mind blown about how into this story I actually was. I mean, like I said, Sofia Coppola does such a great job in directing this film and having the physical expressions of Priscilla's obsession. I'm gonna call it an obsession. Her obsession with Elvis, like the way she just couldn't be without him. How the separation anxiety got to her. It was just killing her, just being alone. And then when she came back, when Elvis would come back and visit her, it was like she was alive again. She had a reason to live and all this stuff like that. And then that's where the toxicity and everything kind of gets drawn out. And what I love about this film that Sofia Coppola did, she slowly brings out the toxicity in the relationship throughout the movie. It's not necessarily a glaring obvious thing when you first see the two. If anything, the way this relationship is presented to us in the beginning of the film, or the first part of the film, is Priscilla's fantasy, like this fantasy land. It's basically like, you know, when you first fall in love with somebody, it's like everything's perfect. Oh my god! And on top of that, she was in love with Elvis Presley, one of the most famous rock stars of that time. And it was like, to be in a relationship with Elvis felt so otherworldly. To feel like Elvis sees me so much differently than he sees all these other women and things like that. Like that really takes a toll on Priscilla, and it really is highlighted very well throughout the entire film, and then it gets to the toxic point. But then once we start getting into the toxicities of, you know, what Elvis is actually doing, how he's keeping her here and she can't really do much, and you know, how Elvis plays so many different games with her as far as like telling her to leave, but then he's like, no baby, don't leave, I need you to stay. That's my bad Elvis impression, but it's like the toxicity is played out very well in the movie, and it's just all credit to Sofia Coppola for not only writing that brilliantly but directing it phenomenally. And then, as you all know, Jacob Elordi is Elvis. Now look, Nate Jacobs stands, y'all go ahead and stand up, because he was very good as Nate Jacobs. Nate Jacobs is one of the best parts of Euphoria, because that character is just so fucked up and he has to deal with so much emotional weight with his dad and just his toxic relationships. Let me explain something to you. The new toxic face in Hollywood, or I'm sorry, the new face of toxic masculinity in Hollywood is going to be Jacob Elordi. If you need a character to perform just the most toxic aura possible, you got to get this guy to play it, because he does it too well. I mean, my God. First of all, Jacob Elordi was a scene stealer in every single scene he was in. I could not help but just be drawn to him. It was almost as if, and this might be a credit to Sofia Coppola too, every time Elvis was on screen, it was like, damn, I get it. I get why she's so obsessed with the dude. I understand it literally every time. And just the thing I loved about Jacob Elordi's performance was it, in comparison, and honestly, it's not like I wanted to sit there and compare the entire time, which I was not doing, because Austin Butler did a damn good job as Elvis. And personally, if you were to ask me now who did better, it's neck and neck. It's very hard to tell who did better. But Jacob Elordi's accent, his Elvis impression, was a little more natural to me, I'll definitely say. It took me a while to get used to Austin Butler's heavy accent like this and just want to talk like this, baby. Oh, it took me a while to get used to that, but Jacob Elordi's comes off a little more natural, and his mannerisms as Elvis and just the way he carries himself, it's just a little more smoother. It's a little more it's a little more graceful. I gotta be honest. Like, Jacob Elordi really did a damn good job as Elvis. It's like every time I'm watching this kid on screen, it's like, yo, you're a much, and it's not like, okay, let me finish that sentence. You're a much better actor than I thought you were. And it's not like I thought I'm sorry, not Nate Jacobs. Jacob Elordi was ever a bad actor, but he was getting a lot of praise from this film, from like film festivals and things like that, and people were talking about how amazing of an actor he is, and it's displayed all over the screen in this movie. It's displayed everywhere in the non-gross way. I'm being gross about that. Look, his acting chops are incredible. Like, I can't say enough. Jacob Elordi gave one of my favorite performances of the year. Not my number one favorite performance of the year is Sophie Wilde in Talk to Me, and I don't think that will be topped this year because she just did too good of a job. But Jacob Elordi is fighting for, like, Jacob Elordi right now is probably in the top 3. He's fighting for number 2. I'm still sitting there trying to decipher. Cillian Murphy is probably definitely going to win the Oscar for it, but I do believe, for Best Male Actor, but I do believe that Jacob Elordi made a huge statement here in this movie, that he is here to stay. He is going to be one of the best upcoming actors for sure. And overall, guys, look, this movie surprised the hell out of me. I was not expecting, just like the Baz Luhrmann Elvis, I did not expect to love the Baz Luhrmann Elvis as much as I did, and now I'm sitting here, and I did not expect to love this Priscilla movie as much as I did. This is an Elvis's movie. Let me make sure I highlight that. I did not expect to love this Priscilla movie as much as I did, but Cailee Spaney and Jacob Elordi give phenomenal performances. Both should be nominated, in my opinion, and Sofia Coppola just does a magnificent story of capturing the beauty and the beast of this relationship here. And for all those reasons and more, guys, I'm going to give Priscilla a 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, guys, so Priscilla, have you seen it? What did you think about it? Look, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and so much more, guys. Look, this is your guy in the chair. More content coming to you soon.